Hello, gorgeous. Before we get started on how to apply foundation, it's important to remember that preparation is key. To achieve a flawless complexion, make sure the skin is exfoliated, it's hydrated, and moisturized. Because when you're applying your foundation, the secret to success is making sure that the skin itself can support the makeup on top. So that means that there's some type of barrier and moisturizing support there so that the foundation doesn't literally start to get eaten up by your skin throughout the day. I'm applying primer to my skin, and this is so hydrating, but I'm also using this moment as an opportunity to stimulate blood flow into my face and get the sculpted appearance that comes with lymphatic drainage from facial massage. You don't need a fancy technique to do this. Your body will work with you, and this will make all the difference to depuff and make your face look the way that it naturally does before salt and sugar and like a lack of sleep or a lot of fluid buildup. All the reasons why our face can become puffy, it can be mitigated by giving your body the assistance it needs to drain that fluid. And that will make your makeup look more beautiful. It's a really well-kept beauty secret, and I wanted to share that with you. Now let's start with foundation for the makeup. I'm using a really good foundation today that is so undetectable. In fact, it's meant and designed for using on camera, and that means that it just completely disappears into the skin and looks really natural. But I like it for in-person stuff too, if you will. It just looks so beautiful and real. When you're using a sponge or a brush or however you're applying your foundation, it's not sinking into the skin when you apply it and it seems blended and put together. It's slowly but surely drying as you press the makeup into your skin. Using a sponge while it dries down and adheres to your skin is going to give you a more flawless, less streaky appearance. Today we're going to contour and highlight. I prefer using concealers that don't dry down super quickly and no stick products because those are so stiff that you end up exfoliating your skin trying to blend them. Contouring and highlight is fascinating and it's so artistic. It's a bit advanced, so make sure that you're not in a rush while you're doing this. It's going to look beautiful in photos, and you can really affect and change the atmosphere of your face using contour. There's something important to know about placing contour and highlight for that matter. Both of these products, when they're blended out, which of course they need to be, are going to travel upwards, downwards, outwards. When you place these down, assume that you'll see the gradient travel outwards. So place them conservatively, less product than you think you need, and place it higher up, since the key with makeup is to make everything a little bit more lifted versus pulling it down. So with the cheek contour, it's important that it's placed a little higher, for example. The more subtle the contrast between your highlight and your contour, the more enhanced the atmosphere of your face will be, versus if you use a very dark contour and a very light highlight, you can actually completely change the look of your face. Today I'm doing this because I want to add a dimensional effect that really can't be achieved without the layering, and it's never good when you're in a rush to be somewhere. If you're going to be doing this, give yourself enough time because the blending is exactly where you make it all come together. I like using these disposable, but you can totally reuse them for many, many times, makeup wedges. They're very simple to use, but they're also very small and they're great for detail work as well as larger areas like foundation, which I love them for. And I'm using a very specific motion, which is just to press the makeup sponge in directly onto my face. You never want to pull out of impatience, and that can totally happen. Like when you know you have this whole map of color to blend out, you can become impatient and start swiping with the sponge, but that will surely mess up the foundation and just make it look rough. While I use this motion on the areas where I'm doing the contour, I really want to keep it drying down in the area it was placed, so I'm not trying to bring it outwards while it's drying. I'm actually pressing it into the skin, and I'm not going to get nervous, even though it looks really intense right now, because the more dried down it is, the more I can blend it out and drag it to where I'd like it to be. But if I start doing that too soon, what would happen is the color, that contour shade, would go into areas where it really wouldn't be flattering, meaning I'd bring it up under the eye by accident, or I'd drag it all the way down to the jawline, meaning my face would no longer have the structured appearance from the contour. It would just darken my whole makeup. One of the things I've started to do over the years with contour is to understand that this is the cream layer of my color application. So some parts of the skin, I actually want to leave a little bit more pigment. It may look as though there's more blending that's needed. However, when I calculate the amount of powder that's going to go over top to set the makeup, I can expect everything to be a little darker in the highlighted areas and a little bit blurred in the contour areas. So keeping things a little bit more stark actually ends up looking incredible by the end. Thumbs up this video if you're enjoying it so far. Now I'm going to blend out underneath the eyes, which is a really key part. It's so important to keep the color that is under the eyes and not over the whole cheek. In the 90s, it was really common to just put really light under eye cream that was like a concealer, and it was really scary, I think, for the next generation, because we all didn't want to have really bright circular under eyes. So the triangle method became really popular. However, it isn't really a beautifying factor to have a very light, massive highlight in the middle of the face. So when you're blending, try not to drag it all the way down to the cheekbone area, and make sure that you leave space for the blush and all of the color to blend back into that contour. Now I'm going to take a really light ivory powder. This one's from H&M, and I don't know why it's so good. It just blows me away. It's just, I think because it's from H&M, that's why I feel that way. I just didn't expect them to have good makeup. It's not sponsored. I just bought it because I needed powder, and it ended up being like my favorite. Now I'm going to highlight, of course, underneath the eyes with that, and then I'll take a contour shade before we go in with blush. I'm going to continue that shadow using this palette. And this is going to be really important because it will set the makeup that I have on my face, but it will also help to build a gradient, which we currently really don't have. The contour still looks really stark and the highlight is really bright, so this is going to act like a blurring gradient product. And using a brush that isn't going to deposit a lot of color, like this has hardly any bristles, it's very loose and like fluffy. And that is going to help me to really even this over the skin and begin to build that gradient factor that's going to make this look beautiful. Don't apply a lot of powder and then try to blur it out. Again, with the exfoliation that can happen just from trying to blend something in, you're going to end up with a great blend, but a really kicked up texture to your skin, and it's better to add things smoothly and lightly when it comes to powder. Now the blush color you use is really important. I'm using this beautiful color that has a pinky tone. Now pick a blush that really adds vitality back into your skin. If you pick an artsy color like purple or something that just looks unnatural, it really won't tie in this sculptural look the way that it would if you pick something that kind of looks like blood flow. We want to mimic vitality with this, and that's going to give the most natural, glamorous look that we can get, which is exactly what I like. I'm going to put a little bit on the nose too, and then blur it up under the eyes and into the contour. There's this amazing soft focus makeup trick where you take a powder, like a setting powder, and you basically put this over top of your completed makeup look. And I'm not talking about your setting powder, I'm talking about once the makeup's already set, taking a brush and a translucent powder that is really well suited to your skin. And this is going to add a very blurry effect to all of the layers that you have going on. So if you have contour and then blush and then highlight, this is going to blur all of it so that you can't tell where it starts and where it stops. Use small circular motions and then blend it over the skin and it'll look flawless and airbrushed. I love this trick, and it helps it last a really long time too. I'm going to use some highlight over the cheeks. So cute. I love this one because it is very like foily, but in a skin-like way. So it doesn't look completely fake or like I'm literally wearing glitter. It's just a natural sheen. And this looks pretty, but I think we have to rearrange what it is to do the eyes, because I used to think I would do like a whole eyeshadow look to go with this, but I think since the face has so much going on, there's actually a lot of value in continuing that blushy effect over top of the eyes, especially if you have dark eyes like me. This is a really cool way of doing your eyes that's maybe a bit underground. It's not common, but it is very flattering. So you take your blush and you put this not in a sweeping cat eye motion outwards, but actually in a more triangular shape, working it up towards the brow. This shape of the eyeshadow, forget the color. The shape is going to help emphasize the length of the face, making it look long and structured, versus the cat eye effect, which will kind of widen and encourage the eye to look across the face, making it wider. Now, this shape is awesome, but so is the color because it is blushy and natural. But if you have a lot of pink in your skin and lighter eyes, try doing that same shape with taupe. I'm going to use a powder. I really like this kit because it has a glittery powder. It has like a soft focus powder for setting your face, but my favorite is this highlight. It's my favorite for my eyes, and I always use this palette anytime I need to highlight my eyes. I'll put it under the brow bone, and I like it because it has enough powder, enough pigment, and I can blend it with my finger if it looks a little too stark, but some highlights don't really give enough, and with the eyes you want that shine, especially if you have dark eyes. I'm going to take a precision liner, liquid liner. Let me know in the comments below what eyeliner you think is good, because I've been under a rock with makeup because I just use what I like, and now I'm looking to upgrade some of these products. This one in particular is one that I'm not a fan of. So it's not bad, but it's just difficult to work with, I think. And it's the only one that I kept using for a while, even though I didn't like it, which isn't my favorite thing to do. This is an Eye Kohl, and this is gonna go under my lash line, a bit of an advanced trick. You take your eyelid and you just hold it up while you line the under part of your lash line. This will give a fuller effect, but it's a bit intense, and I only just started doing this recently because I was way too scared to do that before. Be careful if you try it. And I'm going to put this underneath my lash line as well. Of course, I love that lived-in liner look. That's my favorite. For the eyebrows, I'm using two products lately. One is to structure the brows, and that is the Superfine Brow Pen, which is very inky, and I use it to make the hairs look longer, make the eyebrows stand up taller on the side where my one eyebrow is lower, and then I use a little pencil just to fill in both of them. So one is for color and one is for structure, and it gives a more dimensional effect than if I were to just use the pencil for everything. I'm going to fill both of them in conservatively. I always zoom out in my head and look at my whole face and don't really zoom into the eyebrows too much, because when you do that, you end up overshooting it, overfilling them in. And that's not really a point of facial beauty, to make the eyebrows really intense. So I like to just keep it in check. I don't need to make them perfect, but I do want to fill them in a little bit and make them more angular. Since I placed the Eye Kohl in the lower lash line, it had a bit of time to merge with the oils on my skin and the concealer that's there. So if I just start to blend with a little brush, adding no product at all, I get a really nice graphite, slightly grayish color, just the mixture of the concealer and the kohl, and it looks so lived in and natural. I love this effect. I have loved freckle pens for a year now. This is so fun because it just adds a beauty mole wherever you want to add one. And whenever I have a breakout, which I do, I'll take this little pen and just make a dot. You can make a small one or a big one, and it's very easy to use and it looks pretty natural. So I'm going to add this over the little breakout that I have on my cheek to make a beauty mole. And to make it look as though it was there before I did my makeup, I add some powder over it. If you really want your makeup to look amazing, curl your lashes. It's kind of like a forgotten step, but it just adds something, especially when you did add that lash line effect with the Eye Kohl on the upper lash line. You get a really full lash that's standing up, and it just helps everything look more lifted and awake in the makeup look, even if you're doing something more smoky like this. Now I'm going to use my mascara, apply it not too crazy because I'll be using false lashes today as well. I'll leave all of the products and links to buy in the description. And I didn't mention this when the video started, but none of these products are sponsored. This is all just my own opinions, and I hope that goes without say, but I thought I'd mention it. I will link those below. And also I'll link my lip blush treatment that I had because I had a permanent makeup tattoo put on my lips to make it look like I have a lip tint, and I love it. And I made a video all about it, so I'll link that below for you to watch next. Once I get the lashes on, it's go time, okay? We're just gonna do one last thing, and then the makeup is on and it's done. All I wanna do is add a little bit of mascara to the lower lashes. Okay, 2 steps. Lower lashes, just a little bit, and then, of course, lips. I'm using a lipstick that I think is so cool, and I always say this about this lipstick. It's by Charlotte Tilbury, and apparently one of these sells every 8 seconds. I think that's amazing in terms of business, but it's also very interesting to me because the color is obviously so good that someone somewhere every 8 seconds is like, oh yeah, I want that. And I kind of agree. This color is so vital and nice and natural, and like, I don't like the phrase my lips but better. I really don't, but it is true. It is like my lips but better. I'm gonna add a little choker, and this is just gonna add final touch. I hope that you like this makeup. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and leave a comment below. Tell me your favorite makeup product right now. I can't wait to see you in my next video. Go check out my lip blush treatment, and I'll see you very soon. I love you. Bye.